With great pitching and defense, Boston won 5 of the first 15 World Series, including 1903 with the immortal Cy Young on the mound. In 1912, the Sox christened Fenway Park with a second championship and won again in 1915, 1916, and 1918. The pitching star of that team was Babe Ruth, who the Sox had bought from an industrial league in Baltimore in 1914. Ruth was only 19 years old, but he won big right away. Ruth was the Red Sox principal attraction, the team's biggest draw. But prior to the 1920 season, Boston owner Harry Frazee, a New York theater producer, sold Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees. That single transaction, perhaps the most famous and curious in sports history, defined the Red Sox franchise. And Frazee, from that moment on, he was pegged Boston's all-time villain, the buffoon who peddled the Babe.
He cared more about his theater ventures than he did his baseball team. Ruth goes there, they build the ballpark, and they become this dynasty. Frazee's name becomes mud, and the Red Sox go the exact opposite direction, become the worst they ever were. In terms of his obligation to the fans, I don't see how he can be defended.
The eyes of the sporting world were on Sportsman's Park for game number 7. Within a couple of hours, either the St. Louis Cardinals or the Boston Red Sox will be the 1946 baseball champions of the world.
But all 6 games would be merely prelude to an unforgettable Game 7. With the score tied at 3 in the bottom of the 8th, Cardinal fans were about to witness one of the most daring plays in series history. Slaughter led off with a single, and when he reached first, he thought back to a play that happened a few days before.
In an earlier game, Mike Gonzalez had stopped me at third on a bad relay throw, and we lost the ball game. So Eddie Dyer says, from now on with 2 men out and you think you got a chance to score, you go ahead and gamble and I'll be responsible for it.
The next 2 batters made outs, leaving Slaughter stranded at first. But the player who hustled his way to the Hall of Fame couldn't wait. With Harry Walker up, Slaughter took off for second. Walker hit one into left center. The throw from the Boston shortstop, Johnny Pesky, was too late. And Slaughter raced all the way home with a go-ahead run.
When I hit second base, I says I can score. And I never looked up. All I was thinking about when I rounded third was Roy Partee, the catcher, trying to block home plate. I saw him pull up in front of the plate, and I hit the dirt.
Slaughter's mad dash promptly took its place in World Series legend.
Everybody talks about the series with the mad dash. I bet you've heard about this more than 1,000,000 times. Do you think that it was a double, or do you think Pesky held the ball? What is your true reaction?
It's an ordinary single, that's all it was, but you can't blame Pesky. I don't think Pesky held the ball. I think I caught the whole Red Sox infield by surprise. I think, you know, if Dora would have been hollering home or Pinky Higgins at third, he may have thrown me out. But Pesky catches the ball and turns towards first, and then he saw me and threw it, and then Walker came into second. I think they ruled him a double, which was only an ordinary long single, that's all.
The Red Sox were still battling in the ninth. The first hitter, Rudy York, walloped a base hit to left. Campbell ran for York. And then Bobby Dorr singled to left. Campbell stopping at second. Higgins forced Dorr at second on an attempted sacrifice, leaving runners on first and third with 1 man out. When the Red Sox catcher Roy Partee fouled to Musial, the Cardinal players started to breathe a little easier. This brought up a Red Sox pinch hitter, Tom McBride, batting for pitcher Johnson. Brackeen eyes the batter carefully. There goes a screwball pitch. McBride grounds to Shane Beast, and Higgins is forced out at second to end the ball game, with the St. Louis Cardinals winning the 7th and final game of the 1946 World Series by a score of 4-3.
And the Cardinals, backed by Harry Brackeen's 3 victories, had their 3rd World Championship in 5 years. The team was in full and glorious bloom. Linus Slaughter was the series hero that year.
Colorful memories that go back to 1948, a season that spectacularly ended with the Boston Red Sox and the Cleveland Indians in the first ever American League playoff game. 34,000 fans filled Fenway Park to watch as a single game would decide an entire season for the two teams. Ken Keltner's home run in the fourth inning scored Lou Boudreau and Joe Gordon ahead of him as the Indians took the lead 4-1. In the fifth, shortstop Boudreau would hit his second home run of the day and 18th of the season. When combined with a tough pitching performance made by Indian hurler Gene Bearden, the Tribe went on to win this historic game 8-3 for the American League pennant and would go on to face the Boston Braves in the World Series.
October 1st, 1949, the Sox storm into the Bronx, leading the Yankees by 1 game with 2 left to play. The Bombers, needing a sweep, fell behind as Boston's Mel Parnell outdueled Allie Reynolds. New York rallied to capture a 5-4 victory and forced the season into a 1-game, winner-take-all contest for the pennant and a chance to play the Dodgers in the World Series. The 8th-inning home run by Johnny Lindell was a big one. With the entire season on the line, Vic Raschi took the hill for New York against Ellis Kinder. The Yankees pulled out a 5-3 victory to send the Red Sox home empty-handed yet again. The Bombers then defeated Brooklyn to win the first in an unparalleled string of 5 consecutive World Championships. And that 1949 season immortalized forever in a great book, The Summer of '49 by David Halberstam.
For the second time in all the thrill-packed years of Major League Baseball, both pennant races are undecided going into the final day of the season. 68,000 fans watched the Yankees defeat the Boston Red Sox to break their tie for the American League pennant, a tie which the Yankees managed to achieve only yesterday. The invincible Yanks, plagued by ailments and injuries throughout the season, win the pennant with a 5-3 victory over the Red Sox. Manager Casey Stengel's battling Bombers are World Series bound.
That night, the Sox dream seemed to crumple to the dirt when Tony C. was hit in the face by a Jack Hamilton fastball.
And it was just silence. 35,000 people, everybody went silent.
On-deck hitter Rico Petrocelli reached Tony C. first.
He kept saying, Tony, you okay? You know, can you hear me? And he wasn't saying anything.
We really thought that night that he wasn't going to make it because he was on the critical list.
The next day, it was just silent in the clubhouse. I think, I know I was thinking it's over, the run is over.
Canigliaro's beaning knocked him out of the lineup for the rest of the 1967 season.
It's a beautiful day for a home run, but even a triple's okay. We're gonna cheer and boo and raise a hullabaloo,
forcing a Game 7. The impossible dream season again came down to just 1 game. With only 2 days rest, Lomborg got the call to pitch Game 7.
And thanks to the Boston media, the Cardinals had plenty of incentive.
I think what really happened, what really helped our ball club, was when we got up and read the Boston Globe, and it had headlines of those big 3 or 4 inch block letters. It said, Lomborg and Champagne. And when we read those headlines, I think it really hurt them. I said to myself, and I think our ball club said, there's no way.
Gibson made sure of that. In the 5th inning, he contributed to the Cardinals' offensive attack by banging out a home run. On all counts, Gibson just plain overmatched the Red Sox.
Now, 1 out from victory, Gibson makes a supreme effort and Scott strikes out. The Cardinals win. They're the new world champions. And Bob Gibson, with his 3rd victory, has brought them through in the decisive 7th game, even as he did in 1964 against the New York Yankees.
He pitched a 3-hitter, struck out 10, and won his 5th consecutive series game. Best of all, the Cardinals were world champions, putting an end to any ideas about Lomborg and Champaign.
It infuriated us. We were mad, and we went out to prove that article wrong. And when it was all over, we couldn't wait to get in the clubhouse and say, Lomborg and Champaign, huh?
There was the oddest sort of frustration in 1972. It was the year of the first players' strike that wiped out several games at the outset of the season. And when they picked the schedule up, they did not make up the games, and thus teams played disparate numbers of games. And at the end of the year, the Tigers had played one more than the Red Sox. They had won it, and thus Boston finished second by half a game. In 1974, the Sox on the 23rd day of August were 7 games in front in the American League East, and El Tiante, the great Louis Tiant, had already won 20. There were the standings on the 23rd day of August 1974, a 7-game cushion, but by the 4th of September, barely 2 weeks later, Boston and the Yankees were tied for first, and at the end, the Red Sox finished third.
And few, if any, believed that the young hopes of April would survive and become the heroes of October.
Harold Johnson.
On October 11th, as it had been so many times since April, Fenway Park was overflowing again as the Sox prepared to take on the Cincinnati Reds in what turned out to be the most memorable World Series in baseball history.
There it goes, a long drive. If it stays fair, home run. We will have a 7th game in this 1975 World Series. Carlton Fisk becomes the first player in the series to hit one over the wall into the net. Red Sox win it 7-6 in 12 innings. And Carlton Fisk had a lot of little boy in him right there, Joe. A lot of body English for Carlton Fisk. Watch him. How many steps does he take? 1? He waits to see it. Get over, get over. He knew it. There it is.
Game 7 of the World Series to decide the championship of baseball.
Base hit right field. Garbo scores. Ball 4. Red Sox lead 3-0.
There's his blooper pitch. There it is. A high drive. He was waiting for that one. That one is gone over everything. Perez timed that blooper pitch and slammed it over the screen out on the Lansdowne Street, and now we have another one-run ball game in this World Series.
That was a tape measure home run as the Cincinnati fans come alive. Mr. and Mrs. Bob Housen.
Now the Boston fans are becoming uneasy. There's a line shot to center. Here's a man rounding third. Here comes the throw. It is not in time. The other runners advance, and the Reds have tied it. And we're going to the 9th inning, and our game is all tied 3-3. There's a looper. May drop. It's in for a hit. Here comes the throw to third. Rose hits the dirt. He's safe. And there goes Morgan down to second. And the Reds have the lead 4-3. As Joe Morgan blooped a base hit into center field. Scoring Griffey from third. The throw from Lynn to third was too late. Rose hitting the dirt there. And on the throw to third, going down to second, is 2 down, nobody on. Joe Morgan's bloop single right now is the difference. Top of the 9th inning, he put the Reds ahead. There's a high fly ball. It should be all over. Geronimo's under. And Cincinnati has won the World Championship, beating the Boston Red Sox 4-3. The Reds win it in Fenway Park. Some of the veterans on this team have been very frustrated. They wanted this one badly after winning 108 times this year, setting all kinds of records. It would have been a deep disappointment for them not to win. where they ran up against a ball club that extended them right down to the final inning of Game 7.
They did win the pennant, but lost the series in '75. And then in '77, on September the 12th, the Red Sox were a game and a half back of the New York Yankees with a big showdown upcoming at Yankee Stadium in New York. It was Reggie Jackson's first season in pinstripes. And in the second game of that critical 4-game series with Reggie Cleveland working for Boston, Jackson hit one out. Yankees won it 2-0, and when the season was over, Boston was second again, 2.5 back of New York.
In those 80 years of failure, many at the hands of the Yankees, seasons come and seasons go, but not 1978.
This is supposed to be the best team they've ever had. They're just blowing everybody out, just pedal to the metal.
The Red Sox couldn't do anything wrong. The Yankees couldn't do anything right.
I was working in Jacksonville, Florida, and when the Red Sox were 14.5 games in front, I decided to quit my job down there to come home because I wanted to be at home when the Red Sox finally won the whole thing.
Everything seemed great, and then
September came, and somebody turned the baseball world upside down.
It was a gradual decline, like somebody with a disease getting sicker by the day.
The Yankees started crawling up at the standings. The Red Sox were creeping down.
You could hear him coming. You could see him coming. You knew that it was going to come down to that 4-game series in September.
The Yankees rolled into town, scored like 100,000 runs.
Took their bats from the on-deck circle and beat each member of the Red Sox over the head with them. It was ugly. It's forever been known as the Boston Massacre.
The Yanks outscored the Sox 42-9 in that 4-game sweep. We were down but not out, and fought back to tie the Yankees on the last day of the season. That set up a 1-game playoff. New York versus Boston at Fenway. Winner takes the division. After 6, the Sox led 2-0. Then in the 7th, with 2 on and 2 out, up comes the unimposing Bucky Dent.
Fouled off his foot. It's 1-1. Bucky's given up wearing that protection on his left ankle. Fouls a lot of balls down there. He had been wearing a shin guard just where he's touching. Gene Monahan, the Yankee trainer, now out talking to Dent. Just off the left end step. Right there. And we'll get the ethyl chloride out and spray it. Dick Hauser, the Yankee third base coach, in there looking. That's only temporary relief. Sometimes I wonder if it's relief at all. The bat boy brings Bucky a new bat and he'll exchange bats. The count's 1-1. 2 outs and 2 on. The Red Sox lead at 2-0 in the 7th inning here at Fenway. Deep to left. Yastrzemski will not get it. It's a home run. A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead it by a score of 3-2. Bucky Dent has just hit his 5th home run of the year into the screen. And look at that Yankee bench, led by Bob Lemon. Big Cliff Johnson out there. And a happy Bucky Dent. Yankees now lead 3-2. Boy, the last guy on the ball club you'd expect to hit a home run just hit one into the screen.
Tension eases somewhat here at Fenway. With 2 out in the shortstop, Bucky Dent coming up.
I can remember that moment when Bucky Dent came up and thinking, this is no problem. You know, we're out of the inning.
Fouls his pitch off his foot.
He's hopping around like the Three Stooges. We're all laughing at him. I mean, just waiting for the guy to get put away.
But Dent, the previous pitch,
broke his bat.
There was a long pause while he went to get another bat.
While he was putting the pine tar on it, instead of warming up, Torres is just standing there. He's gazing around, looking at the crowd, la-di-da-di-da.
And as soon as Dent gets back into the batter's box,
The next pitch. Boom.
And as soon as the ball lofted into the air,
it's a pop-up, it's a fly ball.
Everybody thought it was a fly ball.
But then it started to sail, drifts, and sail, and drifts, and sail.
Yastrzemski goes back.
Oh no.
He goes back.
Oh no.
He's right next to the wall.
And it just dropped into the screen ever so softly.
Ball hit hard to left field. Yastrzemski goes back. He looks up. It's going to be out of here. A home run for Bucky Dent.
You could see Yastrzemski's knees buckle.
He physically slumps.
As if he'd been punched in the stomach.
And then I saw him go down to his knees and punch the ground, and it was like the air went out of the ballpark.
It was this incredible silence. You could actually hear Steinbrenner clapping by the dugout. It was so quiet elsewhere in the park. It was amazing, and of all the hitters, this guy had hit 4 home runs all year.
Bucky Dent. Bucky Dent was like some utility schmo.
And obviously, he's just become part of the language up here in Boston.
Bucky Dent.
Bucky Dent!
The name sounds like a swear, doesn't it? Bucky Dent. You Bucky Dent.
You Bucky Dent bastard. Yeah, Jesus.
He has a new middle name, which we're not allowed to say on TV.
Bucky Bleepin' Dent.
Bucky Bleepin' Dent.
Maybe you can say it on HBO.
Bucky fucking Dent.
Every time I go up there, they always put my middle initial up there, you know, BF Dent.
As if Dent's homer wasn't torture enough.
They frightened the Yankees even further in the ninth with 1 on and Jerry Remy at bat.
Pinella can't see the ball.
The first thing that you noticed was Pinella, like this. And then all of a sudden, you see Pinella cut the ball, wheel around, throw a perfect strike to the cutoff guy.
When the ball was hit, I knew it was a base hit. When I saw Burleson stop at second, I went, oh, God, I couldn't believe it. I wish he'd have been at third.
With just 1 out, keeping Burleson at second was huge, for Jim Rice slammed a fly ball deep to right that would have been a sacrifice fly to tie the game.
Tagging at second base and going to third is Burleson. Oh, there are 2 outs. This ball game going right down to the wire.
It wasn't the home run that I remember so much. It was the last inning with Gossage up with Yastrzemski at the plate.
Yeah, it's walking up against Gossage. It's strength against strength. Fastball hitter, Hall of Famer.
Oh, there are 2 outs. This ball game going right down to the wire. Popped up. That might be it. Nettles over at third base. He'll squeeze it and it's over. Yastrzemski fouls out the Yankee third baseman Greg Nettles. And look at those Yankees. They have come here in Boston and they have beaten the Red Sox again. Everybody's happy. The final score, the Yankees 5, the Red Sox 4, and the Yankees win the 1978 American League Eastern Pennant.
The game would rest in the arms of our hero, Carl Yastrzemski.
2 down, Burleson in third, 5-4, Yankees, bottom of the 9th inning. And he pops it up. Greg Nettles, he makes the catch. And
The headline in the paper was Destiny 5, Red Sox 4. And I thought, that says it all.
October 2nd, 1978 is a gloomy day for the Boston Red Sox.
The assumption that something bad will happen, that every Red Sox ship has a leak and every leak is big enough to sink the ship.
Every year you say, well, they're not going to get me again. They're not going to get me again. Then all of a sudden you go, I think this is it. And they got you again, and then bango, you're in the toilet again.
It's almost an existential motif, the myth of Sisyphus, where you're rolling that rock up a hill and you think you're finally there, it rolls right down again.
Everybody remembers the story of Job. Job is this guy whose life is going great, and all of a sudden he loses all his property, his children are sick. The Red Sox are Job. You know, this is a Jobian existence. Everything's going fine, and then all of a sudden, boom.
It's not just loss, but crushing loss.
It's like watching The Wizard of Oz, and then Dorothy dies at the end. You know, doesn't this die? She's like ripped apart by the flying monkeys, and Toto eats her remains, and the end, credits roll.
Masochism. It's masochism. It's sadomasochism.
If the good guy dies in the end in every production since 1918, you might get a little fatalistic, don't you think?